What's going on, beautiful people? It is I, your flying locomotive, and faster than a speeding bullet Supercliff, coming at you live with a brand new video. So when it comes to the DCEU, I think it's fair to say that from a pop cultural viewing, the DCEU is seen through an unsuccessful lens. Yes, we've had epic hits such as 2017's Wonder Woman, box office successes like Aquaman, but overall, if we're to compare the DCEU to phases 1 through 3 from Marvel, there's no comparison. The MCU clearly has the upper hand both critically and financially. Therefore, because of this, a reboot is definitely needed. And with DC Studios now being run by James Gunn and Peter Safran, that's what we're getting in the form of Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. And the first film to fall under this banner, the one that will set the tone in the universe, will be SupermanLegacy. Written and directed by James Gunn, and so far starring David Corenswet as the Man of Steel himself, and Rachel Brosnahan as the one and only Lois Lane. Now, you're probably asking the question, but why do we need a new Superman movie? Why do we need a new actor? In general, why do we need a reboot? Why? Well, that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to bring up some key reasons why Henry Cavill's Superman and the DCEU are in need of a reboot. The reasons why we need a new Superman for a new DCU. Let's start things off with the obvious. Now, I like Zack Snyder as a person. Hearing what people have to say about him, he sounds like a really cool guy. However, I don't believe he understands superheroes. After rewatching Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman: Dawn of Justice, the director's cut, and the Snyder cut of Justice League, I suspect Snyder wanted to use the DC universe sort of as an allegory for gods and mythology. In my honest opinion, that approach for a cinematic universe, encompassing loads of diverse and really out of this world lore and characters with slobs of personality, wasn't the best approach. You see, what made Iron Man 1 so successful was you as the audience were able to relate to Tony Stark, the character. We went on a journey about a man who at first didn't give a damn about anyone, and to someone whose eyes were opened and is now willing to make the right decisions, despite if those choices affect his company. Tony goes from not having a heart to having one. In Man of Steel, Clark doesn't have an arc. Yes, he goes on a self-journey, but it's very detached from the audience. We see it on the screen, sure, but we're never really feeling the experience through the character. And to be honest, nothing about this version of Clark Kent changes. From the beginning, he wants to save people. And in the end, he still wants to save people. Whether he found out about his origins or not, Clark would still be saving people. Whether Pa Kent died or not in a tornado, Clark would still be saving people. Not to mention that a lot of the time, Clark in this movie is silent. The reason he is quiet is the fact that Clark feels like an outsider. Yet the movie never helps to make the audience really comprehend Clark's emotions. And so because he isn't really talking or relaying his feelings or is emotionally charged, we the viewer can't relate. Yes, we understand what's happening, but we never feel it. It's never earned. The screen is telling us, but it's not showing us with context. Obviously, anyone would feel weird about being made fun of. Yet the question remains, why is Clark being made fun of? Did he do something to piss off Pete? Did he steal money from the kids in school? Does he draw pictures of dicks? I don't know. And another issue with the DCU Superman is that Snyder is already banking on the fact that you, the audience, know who Superman is. Now, clearly Superman and Batman are some of the most iconic superheroes in the world. If you go to Nepal and ask a random monk on the street who Superman is, they can probably tell you who he is. However, the movie Man of Steel needs to showcase who this version of Clark Kent is. What kind of a Clark is he compared to the animated series version or the comics? Christopher Reeves. The movie expects you to know Superman, but because of that, it never focuses on making itself a Superman movie that stands out and tells you who this Clark Kent is. Thus, it falls flat to connect with the audience. Now, obviously, looks and lighting in movies can help set a tone. Would I have loved to see Henry Cavill's Clark Kent in a more colorful and hopeful environment? Sure, but that's an example of personal preference. I'm not a fan of the way Gotham looks in the Dark Knight trilogy, yet The Dark Knight as a movie and the sequels and Batman Begins, they work. What is a preference that can drastically affect your movie, your Superman, and making more movies is your established Superman, your established universe. Let's face it, the DCU is a toxic brand. These movies are more often than not, are not connecting with audiences. They're not making the money that they need to be making. Whereas other films like Joker or The Batman, they made money. Add that with discourse with the DCEU being viewed as this unnecessarily dark and gritty universe, a controversial Justice League movie with loads of baggage, troublesome actors, and hilarious yet so unfortunate moments like the mustache Superman. The brand of the DCEU and that of Henry Cavill's Superman not his fault at all, by the way, doesn't come off attractive to the masses. Yes, to the Snyder Group people, it does, and good for you. But in general, it doesn't with most people. And sometimes when it comes to business, when it comes to good storytelling, sometimes you just gotta pull the band-aid off and simply rebuild. When you fill in an empty tank of gas, the car works. Thus, all we can hope for is that Superman Legacy can help freshen the pop cultural lens of DC, and that of the Man of Steel. So yeah, as always, I'm your majestic sayer of words, Supercliff, and if you guys are new to the channel, then do me a solid by smashing that like and subscribe button, and also the notification bell so that you'll never miss out on an upload, and so that you'll always be kept up to date with your favorite top-tier comics happening in the comic book world. Now tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions? Are you guys excited for Superman Legacy? What do you guys think of the new casting choices? Why do you want a new Superman movie and a new DC film universe? Let me know down in the comment section below. And until the next video, peace. Giggity goo.